Well, it's certainly been a learning curve for me. I'm getting back into, pursuing new education, new training, not being successful with every component of it. You have to learn through it. You have to have a support system to learn through it. That's what I found here. A really good training program, support to work through some difficult pieces. Real estate is not an easy industry. A lot of people think it's just quick and easy work, but it is very difficult work.
All right. Welcome to the North Fork Experience, the podcast where we explore the journeys of exceptional individuals and businesses shaping our communities and industries. I'm your host, Kirk Hays, and today we have a truly inspiring guest who's embarked on a fascinating second career journey. After a 38 career in education and children's services, he's now channeling his passion for real estate, investment properties, home renovation, and design into a vibrant new adventure. Please welcome Alan Moose.
Thank you, Kirk.
Alan, it's fantastic to have you. Let's dive right in here to your North Fork experience. So the big question, Alan, after nearly 4 decades dedicated to education and children's services, you've made a significant shift into real estate. What motivated this change, and what was it about real estate that drew you to pursue it as a second career?
I think the motivation to change really occurred after the COVID pandemic. Education as an industry changed dramatically. The demand on the workday, it went from a traditional work week to, I was running an online program for educational students, grades K to 12. That ballooned tremendously over COVID as everyone transitioned into an online experience. And the scale of support from my company, as much as it was available, was given, but it was still not enough to help offset the demand and the stress and everything that came along with that. So after a lot of contemplation and just considering health and everything else, I decided it was time to retire and to move on to other things. That was really the impetus for moving out of that. It had been a very good long career. I'd also felt like I had taken the programs I was administrating to the level that was the capacity I had envisioned, and they were taking a different fork and a different path, and it wasn't where I wanted to go.
Yeah, understandable. During that time, what a crazy transition for a lot of people. It affected so many industries, and education especially. It really changed the dynamic for what you guys were seeing there, and how you had to deal with what you had going on. And I'm sure for the kids, it was even more difficult. You saw some challenges with the kids, dealing with that sort of new environment that they had to learn in.
Yes, and I think it was a real growth experience for parents, and it still has an impact on educators today. The whole system has changed. The demand on teachers is tremendous still as a result of that.
Yeah, it's really reshaped so many things. So it's good that you had a way to see that through and really pursue something else that really made you happy as that outcome.
So I initially went into some friends of mine had opened a kitchen and bath renovation company, and I initially went into that as a program manager for their showroom. Learned a lot about the trade industry, about construction, about products and design, was influential in some of the designs and things that were a part of that company. And then after about 2 years, I transitioned out of that because I had decided to pursue real estate, and found a home here at Berkshire Hathaway here in Hanover with Home Sale Realty. And it's been a great experience, a great team of people to work with. And I've had, I think, really good startup success with real estate. So
excellent. Happy to hear that. So in your LinkedIn profile, you mentioned that real estate and investment properties and home renovation were previously creative outlets. How has that transition into a full-time career enriched your life and work?
I think it really gives me some insight into helping customers with what they're looking for, how to help them work through a property from the time they first go to look at it to determine what parts of it really meet their needs, what parts are still going to need some work to get it where they want it to be, and then kind of be able to scale some of that cost for them so that they are aware of what they're looking at as far as additional cost over and above the home purchase if it occurs. Had access to a lot of customers, contractors, different agents involved in real estate, so I can give them those leads and support them in getting trusted people to work with them to fix their homes, getting them ready for sale, as well as follow up after they buy them to renovate and get them the way that they want them to be.
Yeah, real unique experience for you, having that first career and using those things as such an outlet like that, and then transitioning to them full time. So you kind of had that base to start with, and then you were able to use some of those.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I had done some renovations of my own with different homes that my family had purchased. So My father was always, doing things in the trade. I have an uncle who was a contractor, a brother that was a contractor. So I've done some kitchen renovations myself. I've done some home renovations, been involved in historic renovations. And that's really my love, is historic renovation and preservation of those homes. There's just so much wasted in our society. But all those things give me, I think, a really good insight into design and to how to preserve and how to shape things into something new. A lot of people can't see the vision for what a home can be.
Yeah,
So you
that's
have to paint it for them.
yeah, fascinating for sure. I myself have actually been lucky to grow up in a family where, I have some contractors and a family that wasn't afraid to do some work. And we actually built the room that I'm sitting in here as an addition a couple years ago, and was able to do most of the work myself. And so that, it's just a nice, I like being hands on, and, you just learn so much more when you can actually get involved in a project like that. And I'm
Yeah,
sure
it's
you
really
having that
rewarding.
experience is helpful.
Yeah, truly.
So, as someone who successfully navigated a major career transition, what advice would you offer to others who might be considering a similar shift later in their professional lives?
Well, it's certainly been a learning curve for me. I'm getting back into, pursuing new education, new training, not being successful with every component of it. You have to learn through it. You have to have a support system to learn through it. That's what I found here. A really good training program, support to work through some difficult pieces. Real estate is not an easy industry. A lot of people think it's just quick and easy
Mm-hmm.
work, but it is very difficult work. You run into a lot of challenges. I've had, I think, more challenges with some of my first property settlements and sales than others have had. So I've learned, along with my broker manager, to on new things that they've never had, and it's been a great learning curve. Not always easy, but a great learning curve for me. Making sure you have funds set aside if you're starting out. Real estate is an independent position, so you're self-employed, so you have to have the funds set aside to support you while you're starting up. The money doesn't come in all at one time, so either create the capital or get the capital so that you can sustain yourself while you're building your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure it would help with someone like you, who was an educator. I'm sure consider yourself kind of a lifelong learner, and being able to, at a later point in life, that's going to be crucial, where you have to understand that, hey, I'm going to have a lot to learn when I jump into something new like this. Coming from your background, I'm sure that made it a little bit easier to really jump into that educational aspect of it too, and make sure you were getting all the information that you needed to really be successful in a new endeavor.
Yes, I mean, I'm not afraid to learn new things. It certainly was still a challenge. When you're 60 years old, you don't pick things up as quick as you used to, but I'm still pretty active, still live a healthy lifestyle, and try to remain active in everything. But it's been a great experience.
Excellent, excellent. So your experience includes successfully remodeling 7 historical properties, both independently and in partnership. What draws you to historical properties, and what are some of the unique challenges and rewards of working with them?
What draws me to them is just the history. I love looking at a home that was built in the late 1900s, and being able to, when you pull out different things there that you learn as you go. You pull down old plaster walls, you see what was behind them. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's a nightmare, but you work through it and you build through it. I think I've always been captured by history and the story behind some of the houses. When you walk into them, they're just grand, and you don't see that in homes today. So anytime you can add those features to a modern house and bring it some history and some character, I think those are key components. So when I walk into an old house, that's what I look for. I look for, is it really, did anybody take things out that should still be here? How can we put them back, or how can we shape it into more of a modern house without losing the antiquity that's here? Because a lot of people don't like the old. They want it fresh and clean, but I hate to see these home renovation shows where they go in and they just gut the entire house and lose all the character that was there, even though it's harder to keep than it is to tear it all out.
Yep,
But it's
yeah, for
worth the
sure.
effort of it when it's done.
Yeah, that's fascinating for me too. My small town of Brookville here has a real historical downtown, and there's some really old buildings and theaters and stuff like that, and they've done a pretty good job at preserving some of them, and of course some of them fall into disrepair. Just as it's a money issue, as you know, it's just tough
Right.
to, as you said, it's tough to keep those updated. But yeah, it's always just fascinating stepping into those old buildings. Everyone always says, if these walls could talk, and man, they certainly have a lot of stories. So I can appreciate that aspect of you really wanting to preserve those historical structures like that.
Yeah, especially if they can't keep it, then to salvage as much of the historical components as possible. So I'm a real real advocate for the architectural warehouses that store all the historic architecture from those homes and resell it, because it can be reused and repurposed in a lot of different ways. So I love that when that can happen.
Yeah, it leads us right into the next question, too, and you've touched on it a little bit already. As an avid antique and architectural salvage collector, you're always looking to repurpose and restore. And talk a little bit more about how that passion for salvage and restoration has influenced your approach to home renovation and design.
I think I've always been a little bit more creative with things than some people are. My father used to take items that really had no meaning or value, and he would create something new out of them. And I think I've inherited some of that trait. I try to one of the things I did in my own home was I found 2 old pieces of a staircase in an antique salvage shop, and I made that into a new mantel for over my fireplace just by reworking it and positioning it in a different way. But I've also, salvaged a lot of antiques and refinished those. I've also collected, historical furniture items from family members. As they've passed on, I try to capture at least one piece from their estates. My house is full now, so I really can't get any more. But I love to make sure that a little bit of history is preserved for my children and my grandchildren. I don't know if they'll even want it, but I'm going to try to make sure that it's there for them.
Yeah, try to instill that bug in them a little bit. Yeah, because it's really cool having, touching something that's that old, and it's seen so many things, and you just always wonder about its path. At least I do when you pick up something, an older thing like that, and how many people have used it and been through an old house, and it's just fascinating to me for sure.
Yeah, certainly people like open spaces now, and old houses aren't really open. I think there's been a lot of renovation where they have opened up walls and still kept the atmosphere of the old home. Not everybody likes a separate dining room or a separate, like the kitchen isolated from the rest of the house. And we've done that at our home. We don't have an old home, but we have a 68 home that was built, and we opened walls and made it a more open space that's modern, but yet still preserves the integrity of that 1968 house. And I think that's what people come in and they see and they appreciate.
Yeah, and having that experience, doing it yourself and, living in a house where you've made some of those changes, you really have that eye for, being able to make it a little bit more modern, but still preserving that history as well. So,
right.
So for our listeners who might be interested in investment properties or home renovation, what's one crucial piece of advice you'd give them before they embark on their first project?
Talk with a real estate agent about what their wants and needs are. Make sure that they are aware through that experience of their, what they're going to need as far as an investment to move forward. Get a scope of the market so that they're ready. Right now the market is slowing down a little bit, but we still have a low inventory. We want, we're still looking for people who are willing to sell their homes. We're looking for buyers, but the market now is still a seller's market. So make sure that they're educating themselves with a good agent who can give them the status of the marketplace. So
yes, someone that really has that knowledge is just so critical when you're making such a big investment like that. So yeah, everyone should be looking to reach out to someone like you when they're really ready to make that jump and make investments or make a home purchase for their own.
Yes. We can keep an eye on the market and the area that they're looking at and really bring them the homes that they're looking for so that they have a good scope of what's available and what price range that they're looking at.
Absolutely. So as a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway in York, what are some of the unique characteristics or trends you're seeing in the York real estate market, particularly concerning historical properties or investment opportunities?
I'm not really aware of a whole lot going on with historical properties necessarily right now. That's not been a niche that I've had the opportunity to work in extremely to the level that I would like to anyway. But I do know that there are homes on the market in the city of York and here in the Hanover area where my office is located that are historic properties. Things are coming down in price now. I would say the market is coming down a little bit. We've seen a lot of price drops, anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 in the recent 2 months. But again, I think when people are ready to buy, that's when they should just go. The interest rates are stable at 6%, 6 to 6.5%. That's not going to change a whole lot, despite what the feds are doing. It's already built into the market and to the rates. The key is, just know when you're ready to go, and we'll find you the property that's right for you. I'm not sure if there was another part to that question that I needed to answer.
No, that's fine. You did great there. So given your background, how do you find yourself connecting with clients, whether they're first-time home buyers, sellers, or those interested in investment properties?
I I think I do well connecting with people. It's been my experience working with clients and students over the years in education. I think and I've also done some training on relationship building with a person named William Glasser, who was a reality therapy and relationship building psychiatrist who built a whole program years ago called Choice Theory. So it's all built about relationship building, getting to know people, what they're really looking for, being able to ask the right questions, to dig down deep and get a good sense of who they are, what their needs are, and help them to scale it to a usable level that we can actually find them what they're looking for. So I think that's something that I do really well.
Yeah, I would imagine your background helped in that significantly, really trying to learn about people too. So as an educator, it's important. I always thought it was important to really understand the people that you were educating too. And that can be really helpful in helping you make that deep connection. And I'm sure that applies in real estate as well. You can really make a connection with people and that you know what they're looking for. And that really helps you, place them in the right house, and they have the trust in you to really know that you can do the job and put them in a situation that works out well for them.
Right. It's about meeting people where they are, and not trying to give them something that they don't want. Figuring out what it is that they're looking for and helping them achieve it. And some people don't find it, and that's okay. We built the relationships for down the road, so we can help them when they're ready and something comes available.
Yeah, there's not always the right thing out there for everyone, for sure. Everyone has different needs, and all you can do is do the best you can with what you have in stock there, and see if you can make a fit for them.
Yeah, because the inventory for the demand there's a small price range like 200 to 300. There's a limited inventory, and there's a lot of people in that price range. So if you have to be ready to go if you see something you like, or there may not be something that's out there that you like. So the market coming down right now is helpful to those people because it's bringing homes that were over 300,000 back into a price range that they can now afford. But the competition is pretty severe still.
It seems like in a lot of areas, just from the people we've talked to, it's kind of equalized out a little bit. You don't have to be quite as aggressive, but you still need to really get on things as a buyer if you really
Right.
want to get what you want. So
Right.
it's
To be
starting to cool a little
pre-approved
bit.
is critical in today's market. You have to go through the process of getting a pre-approval for financing. So when you make an offer, you're ready to go. Or you want to make an offer, you're ready to go. Without that pre-approval, you can't make any offer in our market right now without that.
Excellent. So what's next on the horizon for Alan Moose in the world of real estate and renovation? What new adventures do you have in store?
Well, I am excited for next year. It's a brand new year coming up. I want to build. I want to explore new options. I'd like to invest in a property and to begin a renovation myself. I formed an LLC. I just haven't really exercised all the options there, trying to build my capacity as a realtor. But my my goal is to flip homes and to do some design and renovation that really express who I am as a creator and a designer. So that's where I'd like to go with it.
That's really great to get to pursue those passions, and I'm sure it's exciting for you. You can really see something come to life. I'm sure you have a vision when you walk into different houses, and really taking the steps to put that vision into reality. I'm sure is a really exciting thing for you.
That's the fun part. Even helping people see that they could do more with what they have, right in front of them, helping them to see that vision. So even if I can't do it myself, to help others do it is important. Certainly would like to increase sales, certainly do all those things, but it's really about serving people. If I serve the people and they get what they need, then I'm successful. So that's really what it is. The money, those are all the things that come after the fact. So that's not my goal. I would love to make money, but that's not the primary goal. The goal is serving people.
Yeah, and that's truly what matters. And like you said, once you serve people and you do the right things, the money can come later as word of mouth goes around that, hey, Alan's a great guy. He really helped me out. He went the extra mile. And I'm sure that really makes you feel great, when you can really help someone and put them in a situation that they can really have success in getting the right property for them or the right investment. So I'm sure that really means a lot to you.
It does. I feel really blessed to have had the customers I've had during the last 2 years, and I look forward to getting to know more people and to help them achieve the goals that they want to achieve. Because if I help them, then I'm going to achieve the goals I want to achieve.
Absolutely. That's great to hear. So, Alan, this conversation's been incredibly insightful and truly highlights the power of pursuing one's passions at any stage of life. Your journey from education to real estate and your expertise in historical property renovation is a testament to lifelong learning and adventure. I want to take a moment to thank you for sharing your North Fork experience with us today.
Thank you. I appreciate you asking me to be here.
So before we wrap up, for anyone that might be in the York, PA area, anyone that wants to talk home renovation, anyone that wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to get a hold of you and get in contact with you?
You can either call me at my cell number, 717-873-0181, or you can email me at lowercase a, M-O-O-S-E, at homesale.com.
All right. We will be sure to include those in our show notes, and we appreciate you for coming on. That'll be all for this episode of the North Fork Experience. A huge thank you again to our incredible guest, Alan Moose, and thank you to all of you for tuning in. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep experiencing all that our communities have to offer. Thank you.